Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our episode 2 of our Texas wine show.
The Hye-Lights. So that's the name is.
That's the name?
Yeah, that's the
That's
name.
a good one.
Well, we're not in Hye today.
I didn't name it.
So we're not in Hye today.
I know.
We're in
where
Fredericksburg.
We're in Fredericksburg with our dear friend, our partner, our brother, Michael Andrew Sides, a.k.a. Drew Baby.
We're at Lost
AKA
Draw
Drew.
Cellars.
Yeah, Lost Draw
In the
Cellars.
production, you can see.
Beautiful. There's actually fruit fermenting still in these tanks behind us. So.
We had to open up the
Fun
doors
fact.
so we didn't all go to sleep. And
People aren't going to know what you mean.
A lot of CO2 coming
yeah, a lot of
from the
CO2 coming
fermentation.
off here. We're fine. We're fine. We're good. Let's
great
get some
way to
wine
start.
in our
Yeah.
glass.
Yes. We are.
Also, while you're pouring, thank you, my dear.
I will start.
I'll ask everybody to please get 2 glasses. We are going to do some comparative tasting later. So,
Andrew, tell them, don't go into the wine yet, but which white are we pouring first?
All right, so if you're not a fan of Lost Draw or haven't been to Lost Draw, this is our Gemutlichkeit. It is pretty difficult to say, but it has a really cool meaning. This has been a staple at Lost Draw Cellars from the very beginning. My father-in-law, Troy Ottmers, who is a big part of why we're all here today, named this wine. And I would love to say that there was like this just great awakening on what we should name the first white blend that we were gonna produce at Lost Draw, but we actually ran through all these different names for a long time, and the original Gemutlichkeit was a Gewürztraminer Riesling blend. So it was Germanic, and I was like, man, it would be kind of special to have something about like the German heritage. Like Fredericksburg's deep rooted in some German heritage. So I asked Troy, I was like, what would be some name that you would want to, that we should call this, that could have some cool meaning that we did year after year? And he said, Gemutlichkeit. And I like tried to say it about a week and could never really pronounce it, but it really does have a really cool meaning. It actually describes a feeling of coziness and warmth. It's something you experience when you're hanging out, drinking wine with your friends, and just love, the people that you're with and the setting that you're in. And so I thought it was perfect. And since the inception of this wine, it's become one of our fan favorites, one that we do every year. And we've really done a lot of different renditions of this. It's always a Germanic blend. I love making wines like with a lot of intention. And so for me, like it had to be some grapes that were always grown like in that area. So this current vintage that you're tasting is the 2020, which is a Gruner Veltliner and Riesling blend.
Delicious.
Really interesting blend, but something that's pretty typical to that region in Germany. And this particular blend comes from the Yoder Vineyard in Dalhart, which is probably one of the most northern vineyards in Texas. So Pam and Steve, they do a great job out there. They grow some wonderful grapes, and we're fortunate enough to get the Gruner every year. And the Riesling comes from Brownfield from Twin T Vineyard, which is a vineyard planted by Andy and Dusty and Mike Timmons. And man, it's been pretty crazy how good that Riesling has been for us every year. And it finds its way into some rosé blends. It's always a big part of this Gemutlichkeit blend. And this wine has gone from about 100 case production when we first started to close to 500 cases annually, just because it's so popular. But
speaking about production, we are actually done harvesting. Thank the Lord, baby Jesus. So we thought we were done a couple days ago, but somebody called me, and anyways, we ended up bringing in 9 more tons today. So now we are officially done. Harvest is over, thank God. And
always a relief to be done with that.
It's been a busy,
for the families.
It's been a busy month since we last talked to you guys. Man, this week has been crazy. This past couple of weeks have been crazy.
Should we bring in what happened on Sunday?
Oh yeah, we got a new addition.
Yeah.
Meet Mr. Biggie Smalls.
This is our daughter June. You've seen her dance on our previous videos. And this is Biggie.
Our new winery dog.
I know.
Who has been awesome and like having another kid, in the terrible ways and wonderful ways.
He was really good last night.
Yeah, we'll see what happens today. So meet Mr. Biggie Smalls. He's a wired-haired teckle. That's another word for like a hunting dachshund. And we snagged him in Oklahoma on Sunday. I think we got some pictures of that we can show you a little bit later.
Yeah.
But our dear friend David Egger in San Angelo, he located him for us, and he'll actually fetch doves and
Once he's trained.
yeah.
And he's got a good nose already. He's sniffing all over.
So welcome to the William Chris Wine Company family.
You want to go back to do your homework?
Yeah.
I
Thank you,
finished
Jeannie.
already most of it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so meet Mr. Biggie Smalls with the
How
big
old is
ears.
he?
He's
9
9 weeks.
9 weeks. That's pretty young.
Yeah.
No.
It's also been a big week in soccer news. We had a huge weekend. I mean,
Absolutely.
you have 3 sons, and 2 of
Only
which
2
are
of
playing
them soccer,
active soccer. So we had between us 4 soccer games this weekend. Yeah, it was
Saturdays are jam-packed with,
slinging
Soccer.
wine and soccer.
yeah.
Not at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. This weekend, by the way, too, or this past weekend was Oktoberfest. Had a great time. If you've never been to Fredericksburg and during Oktoberfest time, it was awesome. I got to brag on my beautiful bride. She won 2nd place
Oh, what?
in the 8K. She burned it up.
In my age group, not like overall. And it was a small group, y'all.
She did
I'm
great.
so proud of myself, but
She
it's
did
not
Yeah,
awesome.
quit downplaying it.
Yeah,
You did
yeah,
good.
she did awesome. So
I think you
Chris
should brag
also
on yourself.
placed in his age group.
3rd place in my age group, no big deal.
But
Yeah.
more
I
importantly,
could barely walk afterwards, but
more importantly, did you ring the bell at
I
Oktoberfest?
did ring the bell.
Yeah, he did.
I
It's a
did
big
ring-
thing. So like Oktoberfest in Fredericksburg is like a thing. Every year it's like the biggest festival. I actually think like recently I saw some article that said Fredericksburg's Oktoberfest was the 2nd largest held in the entire country, which
Wow.
Wow.
I would have to do
That's
some fact checking on it, but
yeah.
it is like,
There was a ton of people.
yeah,
there
it
on
was
Saturday
gigantic.
morning.
But ringing the bell is like a big thing. So it's like part of this German heritage where every year, all the men would get together and like try to like take a sledgehammer and hit the bell or like ring the bell.
Showing off their strength.
So they do it.
We have a video of it later. I'll cut to. In here
Oh,
in
you got a
second.
video of
I
that?
got a video.
I
of
took a
it.
video. It's not like the best video quality, but I took a video of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was pretty nervous because everyone was out there and getting the bell rung. And so at the very end of the night, like after most people had left, I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a shot.
Did you do it?
And I did it. Yeah. I
Got
was-
the pin?
yeah. It's more about like accuracy of hit where you hit than it is about
I
raw
would
power.
agree.
So
I stepped up, did 2 out of 3, and then I was walking off, and I was like, oh my god, I'm pretty sure I just tore part of my meniscus.
big achievement though, going to the Oktoberfest, ringing the bell. They give you a big ribbon and it's like a whole thing. So
Yeah, it was a great
yeah.
weekend. Though.
8Ks are great or 10K, but ringing the bell,
I
Oktoberfest.
didn't even try to ring the bell,
You know,
so you'll
also
just never know.
Yeah, it's pretty
Also, the 4 beers before lunch at Oktoberfest was pretty awesome. So, all in all, it was a great weekend. We had an awesome time. Kids had a great time. Y'all's kids scored some goals. Like,
Yeah, I have 4 and 6-year-olds, so I'm coaching one of the teams, and
God bless you.
yeah, it is, man, coaching 4-year-olds in soccer is a thing. let me
Yeah.
tell ya. So it's definitely, it's fun though. Like we bond over it. It's a good time.
I was also coaching this weekend, and it was a wonderful experience. The kids fought hard.
Chris
So,
doesn't like to lose.
yeah.
I feel like it's better if I'm actually coaching the team, because if I'm not coaching, I just yell a lot from the sidelines, like as if I was the coach, and so it feels more appropriate when I'm
I
actually
yell
coaching the team.
the entire time, like encouraging yelling, and then in my head I'm just like, please don't use any profanity. They're 9 and
No.
10, so I just focus really hard on that the whole time because I don't have the cleanest mouth all the time, but you know.
Not all the time.
So let's
you.
jump.
Should we let's talk about wine. Andrew's told us what the name means, a little bit of that history, but let's really taste it. And
Yeah,
Get into
absolutely.
it.
This
I
is all
think-
stainless, Andrew.
Yeah, so we make this every year, very acid driven, and you'll even notice that we use a screw cap on it. That's usually a pretty good indicator. We get that question a lot in the tasting room. So why do you cork a wine versus screw cap? Generally, wines that we use with the screw cap are meant to be drank pretty soon after they're bottled, or within a year or 2 or 3. So you'll see a lot of our rosés get a screw cap, and we're really trying to preserve a lot of that like fresh acidity and like ripe aromatics. And you'll taste it with this wine. It's got like a nice acid-driven finish. It's fermented all in stainless, so it only goes through primary fermentation, and then it's bottled about 6 months after it's done fermenting. So not a lot of aging in stainless typically, and this wine's pretty true to that style. So
That's a great point, Andrew. Is that, you know, I really think these wines are not meant to age over 2 or 3 years. These whites and rosés with screw caps, you know, you don't have to race home and drink them, but they are best young when they're so aromatic. And these screw caps do a really great job of excluding any oxygen pickup from the wine. So I really love the screw cap. We use them on our Mary Ruth as well. We have a couple other rosés that we'll use. And corks actually have a little bit of oxygen transfer that you'll see.
I was going to ask, so if this one doesn't have any oxygen transfer, why is it important to drink it sooner? Because nothing's going to change,
Inevitably,
right?
no, oxygen will transfer, or
Will.
Oxygen will start to slowly degrade the wine over time. Every wine will age. This just this slows down the aging so much faster.
But you still want to drink it.
and it's not meant to. So in the style, like especially wines that just go through primary fermentation, generally, say oxygen in wines that go through secondary fermentation actually help like build some of that like mouthfeel and character of the wine. Mm-hmm. But with wines like this Gemutlichkeit or a lot of our other really acid-driven wines that you will have at both brands, they are meant to like really showcase the aromatics and that like really crisp, nice acidic finish. And there's a big misconception, I feel like, from people. They're like, oh, it's a screw cap wine, it must be a cheaper wine. I've bought several wines that are over $200 a piece that have a screw cap, and it's just a really good indicator of what the winemaker and what the different winery was trying to do with that particular wine, and it's a good indicator on when you should drink it.
I mean, the aromatics on this wine are incredible. You know, you would never think Riesling for Texas, and that's one of the oldest blocks of Riesling in the state, right there, Twin T Vineyards. It's probably almost 20 years old.
Yeah, it's over 15 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
Hats off to Brad, like those guys, like being willing to work with some, like when I told him we were going to get some Gruner, and he was like, what, where are we getting this from? Like, how's it going to, and also hats off to Steve Yoder, because in this vintage, 2020 was a pretty bad vintage for a lot of different varieties. And he really wanted us to keep this program alive. And so he actually picked 2 bins, and he drove them in his truck all the way from Dalhart to Fredericksburg to make sure that we got this fruit.
Holy shit,
wow.
How long was that?
Oh, it's at least 9 hours.
Yeah.
So he drove it all night. Like literally they picked it, drove all night to get it here in the morning for us. So that's off to that guy, because he's a big part of why this wine's so good.
Did you say that Twin T Vineyards is 20 years old, or these Riesling vines?
The Riesling vines at Twin T Vineyards.
They are 20 years old.
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
Wow.
they're right.
Okay. I just wanna
so
make sure I got
that's
that right.
Andy and Dusty Timmons' dad, and
Okay.
it's right next to La Pradera. And Andy and Dusty do most of the heavy lifting out there, but his dad's still involved, and yeah, they've been farming. That was the original block planted, and then the Dusty kind of helped plant, and then Andy planted after that. So
Yeah,
It's pretty old
cool.
for
I-
a white. Is that old for a white wine vine?
yeah, for sure, especially in
That's what I thought.
Texas.
Yeah,
Especially in
especially in
Texas,
Texas.
yeah.
And that block is super old faithful. It produces great quality fruit every year. You know, I got to mention too, since our companies have come together, and a lot of folks, you know, may or may not be realizing that. So, you know, Andrew being one of my best friends and now partner, we've taken Lost Draw Cellars and William Chris Vineyards and merged them together. And it's so cool. I don't know if I'm sure you're seeing this too, Andrew, to see our winemaking teams. You know, you're getting 2 different styles and 2 really great winemaking teams that have come together. And, you know, Brad and Andrew make all the Lost Draw wines and the Grower Project wines in their fashion and their way and their protocols. And then, you know, Tony and I make the William Chris wines with our protocols, or with with kind of like this other similar but different mindset. And so it's super cool to see our teams are like pushing each other, and they're really they're helping each other out, they're supporting each other. I mean, like, what's so cool when you combine all the resources from both companies, between trucking and vineyard sources and knowledge. You know, we've got, between our teams, we've got 99 years of winemaking experience all on our winemaking team and wine growing team. It's pretty incredible. I mean, like, there's nobody else in Texas that can come close to that. And it's pretty awesome to think when you put all those resources together.
Yeah.
Like this vintage, I'm telling you guys, like the 2021 vintage, we are on one. This has been one of the best vintages maybe since 2017. And you know that 2020, 2019 were good vintages as well. But man, some of the stuff that we have coming down the pipe, get excited because it is so good.
And it's very rare too. We farm so many grapes in the hill country now with the new acquired vineyard at Uplift out in the Highland Lakes area, that it's very rare that you will get really good vintages from the hill country and the high plains. Like the weather conditions, the growing conditions are so different between the two AVAs that it's really like usually the weather patterns don't work out to where you'll have some good stuff from either, or one vintage you may have a really good high plains year and then the hill country stuff's a little weaker. But this year it's like, man,
they were both taters, man, home runs.
Both of them that are just like, man, this is, and it just kept coming in like just good, like, and I just kept waiting for like the downturn and like the quality, but it just never came. So.
I'll also,
Oh, wow.
I mean, maybe we should or shouldn't disclose this to our fans, but like, so we, like, Andrew and I, our companies are very leveraged. You know, we are doing great, and so much of it, all of it is in part to you guys. But you know, putting our companies together, we definitely took some big risks and put some big bets on some of our farms. And so, as farming goes, like it's always nerve-wracking to just, you know, we're always trying to make the best of every situation, and sometimes Mother Nature doesn't. And if we had a tough vintage or a bad vintage, we wouldn't be going out of business or anything like that. So I'm not saying that, but man, when you have a good vintage and like you're just waiting for something bad to happen, and I don't know what that's called, but you're just like, anxiety maybe.
Pessimism, maybe.
Yeah, you're just like, all right, we're on one, we're going great, and then you're like, man, it's something what weather is going to hit us next, you know? And it's very nerve-wracking. And I want to keep drinking this for like a long time, but I know we need to keep
We
moving
want to
too.
do side by side.
Yes.
How about you pour us the next one? And I just want to say, you were saying about being nervous about a bad vintage, but like Drew was saying, like this was not a great vintage. Y'all were nervous about this, and delicious.
Well, I don't think he was saying it was a bad vintage, and
Well, there was late
and far as of a
fruit
quality,
and
that was
hail
more of a quantity issue. Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
a quantity
So-
issue, not a quality
Yeah,
issue.
the
Ours
fruit
were
we got
stacked
from
against you, but
2020
it was
were
still
really
great.
good. It's just there were certain varieties that definitely had a lot harder time with the freeze and the hail and
Okay.
some of the
I shouldn't
weather
have said
factors.
bad
I will
vintage.
say, so a bad vintage, when you say bad
Oh,
vintage,
that's not what I meant. You know what
that
I
means multiple things, right?
Yeah.
So a terrible vintage is when it's bad
That's
quality
nice.
and quantity, and nobody wants that,
you
and then
compare.
we'll end up selling that juice. But you know, a great vintage is, which you very rarely have, is great quality and great quantity. And this year we hit them both very, very well. We didn't make above like huge yields by any means, but you know, which actually is a better sign of quality. I think we're pretty spot on most of the way. I think, what did we finish up company wide, Andrew? 940-ish, 950?
Close to 950 tons.
Yeah.
And that's a hats off to we probably should at this time recognize our vineyard team, Tate and Rob and those
Bill
guys. that work with
Blackman
us.
and-
Bill Blackman for
Yeah,
sure.
Andy
And then
Jose.
Andy, big shout out to Andy. He's definitely going through some tougher personal stuff, but he
Oh, I
all
was
through
thinking
the-
about the other Andy.
Andy
Yeah, two
Howard,
Andys.
Andy Howard, one of our harvester drivers and tractor drivers. He's awesome. But yeah, shout out to Andy
Both
Timmons
Andys.
and his wife Lauren. Man, we're thinking about you, buddy.
So we are saying we should get excited for the 21 vintage.
Yeah,
What we
Okay.
should get excited about is this 2020 Roussanne, because honestly, from the 2020 vintage, this has to be one of the, I mean, I've been drinking William Chris wine since before we even had Lost Draw Cellars. This is probably the best 2020, or the best white wine that William Chris has ever produced, my opinion, but
I would agree.
So
I
we're
would agree.
side by
Fantastic.
siding Gemutlichkeit and the Roussanne. And why are we comparing these two gentlemen?
So look at the difference between, and you shouldn't be grading these like you like one better over the other. That's not what this is about. But you see stainless steel all in the Gemutlichkeit, and this Roussanne, Roussanne is all from La Pradera vineyards, and this has been fermented in concrete. A portion of this wine has been fermented in concrete. A portion of this is, and when I say concrete, a concrete egg, and then a portion of this has been fermented in large oak fermenter. and then another portion of this has been fermented in oak barrel. And the oak barrels were not only very little new French oak, but mostly neutral French oak.
So before we dive too deep, you guys in the comments, tell us what you're tasting, what you see similar and different between these two wines. We're all watching with you, so we'll be in the comments too, telling you what we taste.
Need a little refill? You good?
I'll take a little more of that Roussanne.
Okay.
All right, guys. This
what are we tasting here?
This is 2020 Roussanne. It's been fermented 3 different ways, actually 4 different ways if you really want to look at it. It's been fermented separately in a large oak fermenter, like a 1,300 gallon oak fermenter, like you're seeing behind me. And what that does is it has very thick staves. And so during fermentation, it actually, and those are slightly toasted as well. So during fermentation, you actually get micro-oxygenation from the wood. It adds a bit of fatness. You get some tannin in the mid palate. Also, you get a lot more texture on the mid palate.
When I say fatness, is the fatness this bigger mouthfeel that you
Absolutely.
get on the
Body,
Roussanne?
yeah, is another way to describe it.
Absolutely.
So kind of coat your tongue a little bit more.
In the concrete, and we'll show you a little picture of a concrete egg here in a second. Concrete eggs are newer technology, and they're really phenomenal. We've been using concrete in the winery for quite a while. Of course, it's one of the oldest winemaking vessels on the planet. The Romans used it many years ago.
You say of course, but I have to say
But of course.
like 4 or 5 years ago, the only time I've ever been to Europe, I was amazed how almost every single winery we went to was more than half concrete.
Yeah.
And I would have said 10 years ago, I didn't know anything about concrete, that could be made, wine could be made in there. I had no idea.
I think the capabilities of freshness are or in the minerality that you can not add, because you're not really adding anything to the wine, but you're maintaining that freshness and maintaining that minerality, especially off the wines that are grown off of limestone, and we're seeing that here in this off of this Roussanne. Also, guys, if you look at this concrete egg, if you were to go to the top of it and you shine a flashlight down, it looks like somebody's stirring up the proteins all the time. So that has a lot to do, and that's with the thermodynamics. I almost said thermo. It's
sciencey.
Yeah, no, it's with the convection current. Yeah, that's the convection currents, right? The temperature, the outside temperature of the tank actually never lets the proteins fall to the bottom.
It just blows my mind. A concrete tank, you're not doing anything, and the wine is moving inside.
It's like a little elf is in there stirring all the time.
Like the use of concrete is like, it goes back hundreds of years.
Thousands of years.
Maybe even thousands.
Yeah.
But the technology, you said, is newer technology. That is the process that he's talking about now.
The shape, yeah.
The shape is what causes it to do that. So it actually is pushing pressure up on top of itself, so it has nowhere to go but down. So it creates this like nice little circulation.
The best science fair experiment ever.
Absolutely, and we did small oak barrels too. So you get a little bit of French oak. Only about 10% of this whole fermentation was new French oak, and the other 35 was neutral French oak. Which, funny thing, I think we talked about this the last time. We always say neutral French oak. It really doesn't matter if it's neutral French or neutral American. You're really
It's neutral?
It's neutral, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it's not really, you're not getting a whole lot of micro-oxygenation difference. So, I mean, like whether it's neutral French or neutral, we predominantly use French and Eastern European wood. Probably 98% of all the wood that we use in the winery is either French or Eastern European. But what's cool is when you look at this, and if you come back to this wine, so pour a little bit, smell it, let this wine heat up in your glass. I would also recommend, guys, if you just pulled this out of your freezer or your fridge, I would let this wine warm up. The other night we were drinking this wine on the couch, and Catherine was like, "Are you gonna make love to me or this wine all night?" Because I just sat there and I was just like, keep on smelling it, and the layers of this wine.
I'm not sure I said that.
Yeah.
Did you really say that?
I'm not sure I said that.
You had drank half a bottle of this, and Guys,
talk about
you
where
should
the
drink
layers
half of
come
this.
from,
Get your
though.
wine.
The layers come from like the secondary fermentation as well.
Okay, yeah,
But
let's
this
talk about
wine
that.
has a little bit of secondary.
It's all secondary.
Yeah.
All secondary. So when Andrew says secondary fermentation, meaning the malic acid to lactic acid. So during a process called malolactic fermentation, we convert that malic acid, which is a little bit more astringent, to lactic acid. And lactic acid is found in.
Milk.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
You
why
knew
it's like
that.
got
I was
that.
thinking about
Are you
that.
trying? Hey, are you going to make love to me later
No,
on? Or are you
I'm
going to make
thinking-
love to this
I'm really
wine?
thinking of
What
the
are you
You're
difference.
asking her too many questions. She's like, your mind's going too hard.
I'm thinking of the difference between this Gemutlichkeit in stainless
Yeah.
only. This is an oak fermenter, concrete, and barrel. Just
So you-
tasting the difference.
But that's
You
what you
guys
can
out
taste.
there-
That's why it's good to taste them
Thinking.
side by side. Is generally wines that go through malolactic fermentation are going to have a little more texture. When I say texture, a little more viscous, like viscosity. Like I don't want to say oiliness because it's just like not a term that I like to use. in
Oiliness
wine.
though off the Marsanne, that is definitely switching gears for 2 seconds. That Marsanne in the Roussanne blend. So this is 95% Roussanne, 5% Marsanne. Continue though.
Whereas a wine, thank you. Whereas a wine that's fermented primarily or all in stainless, like the Gemutlichkeit that you also have, you'll taste that nice, like sharp acid-driven finish. And so just 2 different styles. Both wines are fantastic. We actually make Roussanne in both methodologies at Lost Draw, and then end up blending a little bit back at the end just to kind of build the wine. So it's a cool comparison here. I like that we tasting them side by side like that.
Here's a little pro tip too, guys. I was actually tasting wine probably 2 years ago with a good friend of mine, Craig Collins, and been in the wine business going on 15 years or so now. He starts smell. I look up and I'm like, "Are you smelling at different areas of the glass?" And he was like, "He's a master sommelier." So I was like, "Of course." Like
What?
he was an asshole about it, but he was like, "Yeah." So
Like
He is a master sommelier.
like
Yeah.
low, and then high.
yeah,
Left
and
to
you
right?
get different layers,
Riveting
different
television here.
Yeah, different layers from different
Do it
areas
with
of the
us.
glass. So I'd encourage you and this is, sorry, I'll pay attention to you later, but I'm paying attention to this wine.
God. Oh my God, you're not gonna let it go.
Yeah. But this Roussanne really will you'll get different layers at different areas of the glass, and that's where the aromatics play here, that I think is pretty fun. And it did the same thing with the Gemutlichkeit.
And that's why different glasses can be so beneficial or not for a wine too, right? The shape
Absolutely.
of a glass.
And that's why people
affects-
swirl the glass. Like, a lot of people are like, why are you just swirling the glass? That's how you can really like kind of express the aromatics in a wine
Yeah.
and in the glass.
Super fun though. I mean, I'm getting a lot of different aromatics on the Gemutlichkeit.
So delicious. And this Roussanne was an award winner, correct?
It was.
A real award winner.
A
not
real
some
award.
Bullshit award.
Yeah, that's right. This one, and we're not big on awards. However, I am proud of the team that we were awarded the one of the best white wine awards of Texan, which is really cool.
Best white
Yes.
in Texas.
Yes. So that's
best.
they bring in somms from all over the country at Texan Wine Awards or wine competition, and sommeliers taste through the whole list and decided that this one was the best white wine in Texas right now, which is pretty awesome. There's a lot of
Did they say right now, or did they just say like ever?
pretty much ever.
Pretty much ever. Yeah.
So
Okay,
and-
I don't know about y'all. I'm ready to move on to some
yeah,
bread.
let's open it
All
up. Also, guys, this is that Roussanne is all from La Pradera Vineyards. So I know we have some tape of La Pradera. It's absolutely gorgeous out there.
This next wine we're opening is also from La Pradera.
Yeah.
This is our Cinsault from William Chris Vineyards, 2019. Were you going to talk about opening?
Yeah.
Usually
Okay.
we
So
have these open before we begin our video. And Chris said, no, I'm going to open them, but he hasn't talked about it yet. So I want to make sure he does.
guys, it's very important whenever you're opening wine. I don't always do this, but I would encourage you to always go down. Get rid of the pigtails; they're pretty close to it, especially if
What do
you're
you mean by
using.
pigtails?
So the
cork-
tail of the
where it
cork.
screws.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
you have a greater chance of breaking off the cork. Obviously, try to put the corkscrew in the middle, and I'd go all the way down. And I love a double hinged corkscrew. because it's a little bit weird, and I'd always point this away from you.
Do it slow so that they can see
so
what
you've
the
got-
hinge it does.
You've got a little hinge right here. So you can push your thumb in and get about a half pull, which is really easy.
And then,
And then just gently, there you go. Look at that.
also,
Beautiful.
what Chris really wants you to do is just get this type of opener because what is that? One of the arms that go up.
Oh, if you have that at your house, I
Chris
don't.
hates them.
Today is the day. You're gonna take that and throw it in the garbage. And let's give away a corkscrew.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it right now. We're gonna give
You
you.
should take a picture in your comments of your corkscrew and we'll send you one.
That's a
You can't-
great
I
idea.
don't think you can post pictures and comments.
Oh, that's
I'm
dumb.
pretty sure
That
you
is
can't,
dumb.
unfortunately. You can just tell us what kind you're using.
Why don't you do this?
This requires no batteries.
Yeah.
So easy, it fits in your pocket, fits in your purse.
This
The
just
first,
became an infomercial.
the first 10 people, I'll do this right now. The first 10 people that post a picture of their corkscrew next to a William Chris or Lost Straw
And
bottle of wine.
Tag William
Yeah.
Chris Vineyards.
Yeah, and tag virtual tasting. Hashtag virtual tasting. The first 10 people that do it, we will send you a double hinge corkscrew. How do you like them
In the
apples?
mail.
I like it.
In the mail. Yeah. So.
Okay, you know what I like even more of this wine. Let's taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Oh, did you guys see that? Chris
Shit.
just dumped. Chris just
Ooh, I
dumped.
feel a challenge coming on.
I'll make it up to you. I
That's
make it
the
up to you.
first
Dump
dump
bucket challenge.
ever.
Oof.
How many virtual tastings have we done? I'm not
All
even
right.
sure if it was in the camera shot.
Yeah, I was. What are you talking about?
she called you out.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Come on, come on. It was an oversight. I'll drink it. Here. Do you want me to just drink out of the bottle?
Out of the bottle.
no,
What about
no.
a dump bucket? No, I'm just kidding.
There's like,
What's the challenge at the bar?
look at that. There's like the smallest amount right there. I'm not doing it. I'm
so
sorry.
small.
I love you, babe.
I
I love you,
wasn't
but I'm not
actually
doing
asking
it.
you. I'm
The
just
call
being
out was what
silly.
was worth it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Acknowledge. Thank
Okay.
you.
On to this Cinsault. Y'all, just smell this wine.
Cinsault.
It smells so good.
All
What do you get
right.
when
Question
you-
of the
what do
day:
y'all
is this
get when you
Cinsault or
smell
Cinsault?
Well,
Depends on where you're
my
from.
French buddy
Says Cinsault.
says
Cinsault.
Cinsault.
I say Cinsault.
Hey, you know what's super?
wrong.
It's a sin. It's so good.
I'll have to.
Cheesy dad joke. We gotta have one of those. Come on.
It's a, let's just say it's a sin. It smells so good.
No, it's a sin. It's so good.
Oh,
Cinsault.
oh God.
Okay. Anyway,
So-
what are y'all tasting? Tell us in the comments. What are you
Please.
tasting? What are you smelling?
Well-
I smell like cherries.
Oh,
some cherries.
spot on and fresh strawberries.
Yes.
So we didn't get into it earlier, but so Andrew and I have been friends for, I would probably say acquaintances for 10 years. Would you say, Andrew? Maybe longer than that? No, longer than that.
15 years,
15
yeah.
years, because it was right when I got in the business. And Andrew was actually building Lost Straw Vineyards, like physically building it. He built some of the first vines out
Driving
there
T-post before that was cool.
with the Texas Tech
Is it
football
cool now?
team.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. But anyways, we started getting to hang out, and I remember Andy Timmons called me and said, "Hey, man, I want you to meet my nephew, and you'd come out to the winery." And we were so screaming busy, and I remember you coming out and bringing Callie and like tasting some Hunter, and like, and it was great. We saw each other, and everything was awesome. And then, when Andy said, "Hey, I'm going to go do a winery, and I'm doing it with my nephew," and we started hanging out more and more, and then. I think it was maybe y'all's second or third.
Wait. I think first of all, you told Andy like, "What are you doing? What you're doing this with your nephew?
This is true.
Like, what are you
Did
doing?"
he think you were like 10 or something?
No, I don't know. He had this like really guarded, which I appreciate, like this guarded perspective of like letting Andy do something with someone he didn't trust, I guess. I
Well,
don't know.
no, it wasn't that at all. He said, "Hey, my nephew's going to start a winery with his father-in-law, and they want to call it Lost Straw." And I was like, "Man, that is going to be tied to your name forever. You have Lost Straw Vineyards. That's the crown jewel, right? And there's no other area on earth like Lost Straw Vineyards, and you're just opening yourself up to, whatever wine they make. That is going to also be synonymous with Lost Straw Vineyards." And so there's a distinction there. Like William Chris Wine Company and Lost Draw Cellars and Lost Draw Vineyards, we do not own we are Lost Draw Cellars and William Chris Vineyards. We do not own Lost Draw Vineyards. Andy Timmons and his wife Lauren own that vineyard. So I was like, hey, there's going to be a correlation there. It's always going to be one or the other. So, I was like, I know Andrew, but I don't know Andrew. So what I was trying to and I just told him to be careful, and know the risks. But where I was trying to get to is, we had helped. At William Chris, we helped make the 2016 vintage. 15. We started 15 and helped make the 16 too. Some of the red ferments, and so we were just their production company, and so Andrew was the winemaker. And I was helping him out, and I'll never forget this, like going into 2016, when I was like, all right, man, I got your barrel order all prepped, and like, here's what I think you should get, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I think I want to get some of those barrels and some of those barrels. And I was like, yeah, but I already kind of like lined this stuff out. And like, he had already, and he was like changing the yeast plan. And I was like, all right, I like it. Like at first it kind of took me back. I'm like, all right, I love that he doesn't want to do what I want to do. And it was a great thing. And then
the beginning of a good partnership.
Absolutely. And then fast forward 2 years, to, what was it, 18, and it was 2018. We had just started our canned rosé company together. And we decided to take this trip to Vin Expo in Bordeaux. It's one of the largest wine shows in the world. And then we took
the largest.
Yeah, by far. Yeah. And then decided to take this trip. Afterwards, we tacked on for 3 or 4 days to Spain.
I don't even remember how many days it was.
Well, you guys lost track of days. That's a story.
Yeah, we missed the flight. It was the whole thing.
They didn't know how
Talk about that in
many
the
days were in a
comments.
month.
Yeah.
Watch the comments for this story. It's the best story of these two. This is why you have to take your wives traveling with you. But we'll tell you in the comments.
Yeah. Anyways, but long story long, we went to Spain, and I've told the story on some of these virtual tastings before. But in Spain, they had a lot of, and we get into Spain, and we went there for Monastrell, for Mourvedre, same variety, right?
Also called Mataro, right?
Yeah, but they don't call it Mataro in Spain. They call it.
They may know it as Mataro too.
Yes,
the same.
In Spain, they call it Monastrell.
So night one, we had this like crazy long trip, and up there. Night one, Drew and I are like eating everything in sight. We have probably 3 or 4 bottles of wine out on the table, and we're getting all these Reserva and Grand Reserva wines. And then the waiter's kind of like, hey, why don't you try some of these other wines? Like, why are you buying all these wines? And we're like, I don't know, we're stupid Americans. We want the best. I'm with my buddy. Like, we want the best.
Want to try everything.
Yeah. And he's like, why don't you try some of these Roble wines? And so we were like, yeah, but they're less expensive. And he's like, Grand Reserva doesn't mean anything. It's just a classification. So
doesn't actually mean better.
Right. And of course, the dumb Americans, we all think that Grand Reserva and Reserva are like something more incredible. But we started falling in love with these fresh, aromatic red wines that had only been in barrel or in large oak fermenter for 6 months, and then bottled and laid down. And that's exactly what this 2019 Cinsault is. It was fermented in stainless and concrete and oak, and then brought back together. And
I love these lighter,
I do too.
wines.
They're so well suited for Texas too.
So good. What would you guys pair this wine with?
Oh man, well, trout, salmon.
Trout's
my
our
favorite.
go-to. Yeah.
Go-to. I'm not embarrassed. We'll eat trout once a week. Yeah, for sure. We're getting old. We're just eating the same thing.
But you think you
Yeah,
would?
we roll about 5 recipes.
But once you know what you like, right?
Yeah. You got your wine picked out for it?
Squash salad, summer squash salad is awesome with this. A great recipe is to zest a little bit of a lemon and just don't cook squash. Just cut it, cube it, or not cube it, but slice it in half, and then slice it crossways. A little mint. A little olive oil, a little salt and pepper, and maybe just a dash of apple cider vinegar and salt and pepper, and that's it. So,
Speaking of cooking, we got the message here. Josh is about ready for us to go outside.
cool.
For our steak and Tempranillo, so let's
Ooh,
head out.
now that-
There's
I'm gonna
glasses
drink
out-
the rest of this before we leave.
We don't
It
have
was
to
so good.
because there's no glass out there. You can if you want. I know you're trying to redeem yourself.
I'll take mine with me.
Redeem myself. Oh, I'm gonna drink all this right now.
It's not a competition.
All right, so these steaks are pretty special. So we got these from our partners across the street at Hill Country Beef, Tim and Cypress Schumann. So the great thing about these steaks, so they're 20-ounce bone-in ribeyes. They're hyper local, so literally about a quarter mile down the road from William Chris, and they are grass-fed, pasture-raised. Not only that, but they get to feed on all of the grape skins that we have left over after we press all of our wines. So these are like the embodiment of the hill country right here. So it's a pretty special aspect of these steaks. So I hope everybody enjoys them. Tim and Cypress are really great people. They treat their animals well. They don't use any antibiotics. It's a very well-run operation. Funny coincidence is that right before, I was asked to source these for this project, my wife and I bought an entire cow from them. And we got to go pick it out. We got to get pictures while it was being raised. They're hand-fed, so it's a very cool operation. So this is a pretty cool thing that we're doing with this pairing. So we're pretty excited about it.
Smells so good.
Man.
Josh.
Oh man, looks good, man. Looks tasty. Looks tasty. Thanks, chef.
You got it.
Should we
All right.
open the wine?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
5
Yeah.
minutes.
Let's dig
Well,
in.
you know, the best steak sauce for your steak is a good bottle of wine. This is some Tempranillo from Lost Draw Cellars. It's a 2019 vintage, so pretty young. It just got released in the last wine club. Catherine, you want to get some of this first?
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
And this, what's cool about Tempranillo is Lost Draw has been producing Tempranillo since inception of Lost Draw.
Bro, we drinking wine or we drinking wine?
Oh, is it No Dump Tuesday now?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect,
It's
perfect.
Thursday. It's Thursday.
I'm good. Oh, well, okay.
Nope,
I'll get
nope,
more. I'll
nope.
get more
Right.
if I
The
need
man
more.
speaks. We're gonna
Let's
drink.
turn it up.
Josh wants
Take
some.
care of Chef,
He's
man.
been
Come on.
Yeah,
saving
absolutely.
Come on, man. Come on.
Out of
What is this,
hot
your first virtual tasting?
mackerel.
I've done one or two,
Three,
I
four?
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tempranillo is a big part of Lost Draw's program. It has been since 2012. That was our first vintage. We only made 2 wines that vintage,
That's right.
and one of them was Tempranillo. It was also some of the first grapes that we planted at Lost Draw Vineyards, so that's also a pretty cool thing. Some of our oldest vines, but this particular Tempranillo is the first ever that we've produced from the Hill Country. So this is actually from the Fredericksburg in the Hill Country AVA. So kind of a lot to say, but
We did not name it that, by the way.
yeah, we had no part in naming the AVA.
We're reworking that pronounced River Basin sub ABA.
Yeah, so it's actually some grapes that are grown literally about 8 miles from here. So hyper local is what we'll call it. The Hill Country is so vast. There's just so many, like the wine and the substrate so different across the entire Hill Country that it should be recognized differently because the wines taste so different from, 20 to 30 miles apart. Pretty interesting.
Aren't the Texas Hill Country and the Texas High Plains AVA some of the largest in the country?
Yes.
Are they the largest?
The Texas Hill Country, I think, is the 3rd largest AVA in the
Maybe
country.
that could be our trivia question.
Ooh.
What is the largest AVA in the country?
I can't answer.
In the country?
Yeah, don't answer. Okay, so viewers, if you know this in the comments, tell us what is the largest AVA in the country, and you win a prize.
Uh-oh.
Do you know it?
You'd stump me.
I don't.
Yeah.
I kind of was thinking it was Hill Country or High Plains, but
It's a weird one, and nobody's
It's
gonna
a
get
weird
it.
one that no one knows
At one time
about?
was number 2. I thought the High Plains was the second.
So Willamette Valley is pretty big. It's not the number 1.
yeah.
But,
Okay.
does this smell like garlic to you?
Maybe
Like
a little bit.
roasted meat? Oh.
Oh, that's the grill.
Maybe a little bit, but Tempranillo always does have kind of a spicy tannin, but that's also what makes it really good for red meat. I feel like it's one of the best
agree.
that you can have with something like steak. And I've loved working with this fruit or Tempranillo in general, just because it's pretty versatile. You can make it a little aromatic, but it's always got some good tannin. And we actually use a different oak program for Tempranillo than we do for most of our other lighter, medium-bodied wines, just because the oak tannin can kind of integrate pretty well with some.
You
some
guys
good
use
stuff.
the hybrid barrels on this?
We do, yeah. So a hybrid barrel, that's what Chris is talking about. It's a barrel that actually has like French oak heads, but the staves are all American oak. American oak is going to give you some different oak tannin components, integrates a little bit different, generally a little bit more pronounced flavors that come from the.
We call it a Don Brady special, ode to the man.
Yeah.
And he's a winemaker in Paso Robles from Texas that kind of laid that one down for us.
Yeah, he kind of gave us the tip several years ago.
God, that was more than several years ago.
Yeah.
That was like 8 years ago.
So they gave you the tip to use a hybrid
Yeah.
barrel? Because that's not a common.
No, and it
Barrel.
works great on Tempranillo.
All right, guys.
I was so excited, and then when you put that butter on, I got even more
So
excited.
grass-fed beef from the hill country.
Oh man.
I gave Andrew a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's got a compound butter on it that I just made with the same seasoning that everyone's going to get in their in their pack when they order it. You don't really want to mess up beef with too much stuff, so it's literally just got really good salt. So diamond crystal salt, some fresh ground Telecherry pepper, and that's literally it. And mixed with some really good grass-fed butter too. So and that's pretty much it.
Diamond crystal salt.
It's my favorite like seasoning salt. So it's like chunky fat crystals.
Can you get that at the grocery store?
Yeah, you can get it at HEB.
And
You
Diamond
didn't
is
see.
a brand.
She's cutting it with the fork.
I am cutting with a slow fork.
That's so delicious. And Cypress and Tim are amazing folks. They've been a part of our story for the last 10 years. Tim has, at least. He's ranched across the street, and they take all of our spent grape skins and they feed cows. All these cows were fed with William Chris grape skins, which is pretty crazy. So,
Yeah, do you think the cows love the grape skins because of the flavor or because of the way it makes them feel?
I don't know. He did say that they always come back to it. They always come back for more. So, and on a side note, we do it to be more sustainable, but Tim is awesome about it. They're very gracious about coming over and snagging the skins. I mean, we take almost probably 800 tons just through that facility of skins over the year, or 700 tons. It's a lot. So it's quite a bit. So it's a lot of grape skins going to feed cows.
Yep.
And man, the flavor of this is
Such a good pairing. Have you
Yeah,
gone
it's so
back
good.
to your wine yet? It's so good.
It's perfect. Salt and pepper, that's all it takes,
And a little butter. Yeah.
It seems like the flavor of this is so much. This beef is different.
With that marbling.
The richness. Well, there's just it kind of reminds me a little bit more of the beef down in Argentina.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a certain richness, and it's not like you can taste corn in beef, but it's almost fattier with corn, and I feel like this is a little bit.
Well, I think grass-fed fat is more yellow typically, and it has a different flavor, and you can even smell it on a grill. You grill a steak, you can smell grass-fed beef versus a corn-finished cow.
Wow. I'm gonna have to eat more.
It's a pro tip.
And chef, you
Eat more
put
beef to know.
you had parsley and all this from the garden too.
Yeah.
right?
So there's we have some high parsley. This
This is a true
so
hill
good.
country meal.
yeah, it's
High parsley,
literally
so there's wheat in
within
it?
a 1 mile radius. Everything on this plate.
And what's in your glass isn't too far either. So
Yeah. That's one.
You get
True.
This is delicious, man. A true hill country meal. That is so cool.
Yum.
I feel so blessed that we could be able to put this all together and share it. I mean, I feel like this is such an intentional meal. There was so much thought that went into, and not necessarily just by Andrew, Catherine, and I. Our team really wanted to put something that was truly unique from the hill country together for your pack today for this pairing, which
And it's such a small operation that we bought every ribeye for 6 months from Tim in Cyprus.
Really?
And they're big hay farmers. They
They're
farm all
hand
over.
finished with hay and molasses that they actually produce on property too.
They produce the molasses.
wow.
I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
We got lots of fun stuff planned. Let's head back to the winery.
Ready?
Let's go.
Cheers.
That was so good.
Oh my gosh, that was tasty. Where's the big potato? You didn't bring any big potatoes?
I don't
Green
didn't bring
beans.
any
Yeah.
sides.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah,
Mac and cheese.
Yeah, you don't need.
You can tell
You
we're.
don't need steak and
You don't
mac
have a
and cheese?
6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
I do. They love mac and cheese.
Man, well, guys, we had absolutely an amazing day with you. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we do, because it's been so much fun to dig into the wines, tell the stories of what's going on in our lives. And introduce Andrew. For most of you guys probably already know Andrew and already know the Lost Straw brand, but hopefully everybody got to know it a little bit deeper today. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. We've
Fun
got
to be here.
It's fun to celebrate Texas Wine Month.
heck yeah, October
this
Texas Wine Month.
Yeah, all month long.
On fire. Or just drink 4 glasses of wine, whatever.
Yeah, either one.
That's
way.
something.
That all
No
works.
worries, no worries.
So lots to talk about real quick. Artist blend submission. You guys that have followed William Chris, you know every year we have a blend wine that has a piece of art on the front. Well, that is a competition. You or any of your artist friends can enter. Submission is deadline of the 31st. So got about 10 days
Coming up
left.
quick.
Visit our website and you can enter there. All the directions are there for you. Also, 31st is a special holiday, and we have special wines to go with it. Got the spooky pack.
What's the 31st?
It's Halloween.
How do you spend Halloween? Do you go out trick-or-treating or you sit at home and pass out candy? Are you
Really?
I always do Halloween with you.
That's
we have a
right.
trailer load of kids.
We also live in the country. No one comes to our door.
Well, if you have a trailer load of kids, we have the perfect thing to go with it. Some wine.
Yeah.
We got
It's
a
even
spooky
themed
pack.
wine. So if you're having a little party or something at your house, this is a perfect.
We actually do drink this pack on
Yeah,
Halloween,
it's like-
which is pretty fun.
Drink it with us.
So
Yeah.
it's a
Halloween.
6-pack. It's 3 Skeleton Key, 3 Day of the Red. The link will be in the comments, so just look down there and click on it
Yeah,
when
we'll
you're
show
ready.
you. Look in the. I'm sure we'll upload a little picture of the label. Day of the Red is a really cool label, and so
Spooktacular.
Very
It's
Halloween-y.
spectacular.
It's great.
Did you
There's-
just come up with that?
Oh, absolutely not.
You can get a 6-pack or a 12-pack if you're having a big Halloween party, or if
Yeah.
you just want to stock up because it's delicious wine.
Goes great with candy corn.
Are you dressing up?
Candy corn?
Heck yeah,
Maybe
I'm
Kit
dressing up.
Kats.
This is the
Yeah.
first year that I've
Can we
planned.
announce-
No, we can't.
Okay.
It's a secret.
But you know what you're going to be?
Oh, for sure.
I
And it's
think-
the first
I know
time
what
I've
it's
put a
gonna be. I'll
lot
tell
of
you
I put a lot of time and effort and thought and just wasted Amazon dollars that my wife's like, seriously, on my Halloween costume. So
I think I'm going to be a Girl Scout, and I'm trying to convince Chris to be a Boy Scout, but he hasn't decided yet.
I'll be
Ugh.
a Boy Scout.
oof.
I don't
We
know
have
what
had
that
a lot of
means.
wine tonight.
Okay. Next announcement. Anyway, get the spooky pack. It's so delicious.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
What's happening tomorrow, Drew?
Man, we are having the Lost Straw Happy Hour. If you are a wine club member at Lost Straw, if you're not, you should be, because these happy hours are like one of the coolest things that we've started doing here in town in Fredericksburg. It's like kind of turned into like a local tailgater party for the high school football game, but we get some local food trucks and you'll see all your favorite people. I'll be here.
Josh Raymer's
We'll probably
Pizza.
be here.
It was the coolest Friday night the other day. We had all the kids running around. There was all these families. It is just such a great evening in Fredericksburg.
The nights have turned cooler. Like this is the best time to be living in Texas in the hill country because it drops down. The temperature's amazing. Like
Heck yeah.
this is what it's all about. So if you haven't RSVP, definitely RSVP. That helps us kind of plan for like food and wine and people and everything. So RSVP, it's tomorrow night. So make sure you come, set your calendar. It's an evening event, so pretty easy to do.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate being here with you guys too. It's always fun
glad you
jumping
joined
on.
us.
I know I'm not a regular staple, but it's a fun, little.
It's been a lot of fun, man. I've
Yeah.
loved having you on here, and I love having you as a partner, man. Seriously, and
Our company is very, very much taking the vision of just like we want to make sure that anything that we're doing, it always should be fun, and so this is fun.
This is fun.
We're working, but
yeah, does this work? Come on.
yeah, does this work? I don't know.
And thank you again for a wonderful time.
Yep.